How do you like this for a two-liner? Our mission: to help create a digital distribution business plan to improve performance, to find solutions, and to offer impartial advice on emerging digital technologies that enhance human creativity, potential, and sustainability.
It's pretty all-embracing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very topical that you raised that, actually, because I've sort of been pondering over things, because I've been getting a lot of resistance as I've been writing part 2 of the course.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking, subject to your views, is I think we should make the course just about business planning, not branch off to sort of say in this particular sector it looks like this. I think we just make it about business planning.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week, and I agreed with it. But you know, when I wrote that that line I've just read you, admission, I was trying to get my head around what is a business plan that we want to do, and it's not going to be like any other business plan. What's the purpose? I mean, the purpose, they've got to go into business, or they're in business and they want to improve their business. In other words, they want to improve their performance, or they want to find solutions to not being part of the consumerism society, perhaps. And it's confused me.
Well, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Because I guess the sort of mindset, I guess where my thought pattern has been going is that, starting at the wrong end probably, but anyway, that the traditional business planning process is really just about drawing up battle plans. That's what it's about. It's all about battle plans. It's all about winning. It's about beating the opposition. It's about, all of that sort of stuff. So I just sort of see it as a battle plan, really,
Okay, but you biased anyway, because you want something different. Okay, what then it's a plan. Okay, and let's say they want to go into business. Okay, so they need what they've always needed. Okay, they needed an idea. They need to know why they're going into that particular business. Okay, so those sort of things are the same. They
need to plan. They need to plan to succeed. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and they need to grow. Okay, and they need to get to a break-even point. Okay, so
I was going to say the interesting thing is, though, is if you look at the traditional planning process, and I'll just use all my biased words around it because that just helps the communication process. So, like developing that battle plan, and that it seems to have quite a broad appeal, because anyone even just contemplating a business idea or whatever, it's like, yes, let's get our plan together and let's do this and let's do that and let's do whatever. But when I think about it in terms of the alternative, and in many respects, this is the age-old spiritual battle, is that what's the compelling elements around doing it in such a way that it's about shared prosperity and that people matter and sufficiency, and where are the compelling elements around that for the broader population? So the first sort of question we have, or the first hurdle we have to jump is when someone says, well, what's wrong with the way we've always done it?
And that's a
why,
fair question.
and why would I do it differently? And I've been thinking of ways to try and answer that question in the affirmative rather than in the negative.
Okay, maybe we're using the wrong two words. We're using business plan. Maybe that I think probably is confusing both of us. Okay, from a kickoff. So let's see if we can come up with something that is actually not a business plan.
Well, we've been talking about the distribution model, and the words I've been using, like in the course so far, is I don't use the word business. I use the word enterprise, but maybe that's still close.
It's semantics,
Closely.
I think.
No.
I don't. I've sometimes in my writing, use enterprise because you used it, so I've used it. But I use it interchangeably between the two.
You're just blaming me. That's all you're doing now. So.
Yeah. By the way, I hope you got the things I wrote. Sorry,
I have. But I've been deep in thought over this other stuff because. So maybe let's just change the question, step sideways. So why should I follow the spiritual path?
Okay.
It's not as fun as the satanic path. That's.
I mean, that's a question. Okay, I'm not sure if the question is what I'm searching for.
You can give me your answer anyway, though.
Yeah. I mean, you need to connect to the spiritual path because life is eternal, and you're here for a very short time, and it's a school. So you need to use your time here creatively, in order to become more spiritual. Now, there's another way of looking at that same thing, and in fact, I only read it yesterday. I've stopped, not really on purpose, stopped using the word karma. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's a very misunderstood word.
yes, but I agree. That's where the reality lies. Okay, is if people understood karma for what it is, then you're going to be rather stupid to take the satanic side or the greedy side of business because you're creating this karma, and it's going to come back at you. And as we in the final of the four very big ages, the Iron Age, things are coming at us much faster. So your karma is hitting you rather than, I mean, some of it will wait until the next incarnation, but others will come back quite fast and hit you. So that's a good reason to take a look at spiritual things. But so many people, don't see, even, ardent religious people, their religions have sort of veered off totally, all of them, other than one, from the word karma. Okay, they've substituted those words, and so it's not motivational anymore in the way it used to. So bringing spiritual into it again. If you a lot of my friends just use the word the universe, the energy of the universe, okay, the powerful energy of the universe. That's fine. It avoids those words that have got all sorts of connotations, as you said just now. So karma is perhaps one of the main reasons, okay, and the fact that you live such a short time here that you are putting your treasures in the spiritual, so that when you pass over, you will go to a different place than somebody, and so it'll be more pleasing to land up that side.
Is your sense around that issue though? Is it like a bit of a, and I'm talking about a bit of a generalization here, but let's sort of start broad and maybe try and focus it in. But do you think it relates to people just not wanting to accept responsibility for it? Is that essentially the issue? Is, I'm responsible irrespective of whether people are watching me or not, for how I'm thinking and how I'm acting. Do you think it relates to something like that? That people are just sort of copping out on being responsible? Is that a big part of the issue, do you think?
I think it's part of the issue. I think it's part of the issue. But I think that people are born now, and they're not, from day one, are not exposed to spiritual things. They're exposed to just what is observed as reality. This is just as it is. Okay.
It's fascinating, because as I've told you previously, I sort of, part of my daily routine now is to participate in that forum on gratefulness.org.
Yeah.
And they pose a question every day. It's a daily question, and that's what I just sort of incorporate into my practice. And it sort of fascinates me. At the moment, there's about, 40 people probably who participate on the forum on a daily basis. And every question that's posed, it never ceases to amaze me as to how cocooned a perspective some people have. It just seems to be this sort of micro, my whole world is about me and about what are the things, my perception of how I'm, we take for granted traveling, that we should be very grateful for. And the sort of questions are quite innocuous. Like today's question was, and people were sort of responding like, oh, the fact that I've got shelter and my family and that I have access to abundant food and things like that. So it's all about those things which directly impact me, like in that sense. Where I was sort of thinking, well, why don't we as a species lift our gaze a bit? Why don't we, like the things that we take for granted, the fact that we have night and day and that we have seasons and that we, that when we eat food, it converts into a human being, the miracle of that, and the fact that, an exhale follows an inhale, things like that, which we do take for granted, but it's fundamental in terms of our existence, But everything's, and it's sort of very hard on the heels of this sort of consumerism mindset where it's all about me, 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 whereas I guess the nut that I'm sort of think that you and I have been trying to crack open a bit is just to, well, change that view, because if you have a different view about that, then, your whole world will explode open, in terms of possibilities. I mean, that's my sense anyway, is that, and the challenge, of course, is that it's going to be a tough nut to crack, so.
Yeah, just adding on to what you're saying, I think the spirituality is about being personal. Okay.
Mm.
I mean, you can't help anybody else in their spiritual journey.
No,
Okay.
it's a solitary
So it
journey.
is, yeah, it's just yourself and your perception of where
Mm.
you're going and why you're here.
Mm.
So there's I guess, a spiritual selfishness that
Mm.
is absolutely the reality.
Mm.
So we need to, I think, coming back to what you were saying a moment ago, um, I think we've got to incorporate the whole spiritual aspect without saying it.
Yeah,
Okay.
100% agree, and that's the thing that's been the dilemma, where the guiding focus on this is about being all inclusive. And I guess that's been the tug of war in my mind is that the traditional business plan is a subtractive thing, and that it's all about me bettering my enterprise or my thing, my. And I guess what the dilemma I've been sort of trying to get my head around is how do we crack that nut open so that it's about applying my skills and talents for the benefit of those around me instead of all this sort of inward focus. It's sort of about projecting outwards, isn't it? It's
No, I think, we've got to, everybody's is living in the society that we talk negatively about right now. And they would like, the people we're going to deal with would like to contribute to society. Okay.
mm,
They would like to, be part of the solution. And
mm,
the solution is getting to a digital distributive society. Okay.
mm, mm,
That's so, people want to, who we're not going to try and talk to people, unless they talk to us and we'll hold a conversation. But we're not going to work with people that you know are going to argue with us. Okay,
no,
because
there's no
nobody
point.
can win this argument. There's no
There's
point
no.
in it. There's no winner in that sort of argument.
Mm,
So we need to be looking at um, people, or finding people, perhaps through, you know, if you give me some feedback on these short little articles that I've been writing, um, let them connect with us. Yeah, this is interesting. Know, um, I can see, the difference between, digital distribution and Google. Okay,
mm,
they can see the difference, and I'd like to associate myself with the Phoenix Rising, and um, I'd like to start a business, and you know, and have a conversation with them about that. So the starting point is they already connect. They connect with the ultimate end result of what
mm,
the world is going to become through
mm,
hell or high water. Okay,
mm.
it's going to be, and
Do you
but
think that word business is part of the problem? Is the word sort of conditioned people just to think in a certain response to that word?
yeah, that's why I say business and planning.
Mm,
A business plan. I think we need to be thinking of it, and don't
mm.
change the word business into enterprise. Um, we need to be thinking. Um, you
But
know,
you think about some of those other examples though, like they talk about the B Corp, the benefit corporation.
mm,
Even though they've been bastardized, or many of them have been. But so maybe, so there seems to be at some point in time someone has tried to think about how do we change that context, so and that's the unresolved piece for me at the moment is that what do we do? What do we do?
I tell you what we do.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Sit back, have a cup of coffee. We keeping in mind everything we've said today. Okay. Yeah. I believe that we need to, as part of the rethinking of this business plan, and is to, and also to hide, to bring spirituality into it without saying it. Okay, as part and parcel. Now, I think the way to do this is through the personality. Okay. Now, the personality is the pivot from, that you fall one side or you fall the other side, but it also goes with you when you die. Okay. So it's something, and everybody understands personality again in all sorts of different ways, and that's fine. So we start working with the personality, and we start looking at digital distributism, and what sort of personality is living in that society already, or clearly it would be obviously what it would be. And so we then talk about the personality, and we talk about people who are interested in that type of economy as far as the personality is concerned. And that way one can then bring personality together with digital distributism, and we're on our road. Okay. And so are the people we're talking to, and we can decide, how we present that with a Udemy course, or because that then it for me, I already have all sorts of ideas now as I'm talking, that we could put together, and so that's my suggestion. I don't know what you make of it.
I think it's brilliant. I do, because basically it's leveraging that me view, but pointing it back out there into the world rather than focusing it back onto all of those things that consumerism feed off. And I think that's absolutely the key thing that we need to do. So I think you've got a few articles to write around about personality now.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would enjoy thinking about that, because that for me is a link, a total link with the spiritual without saying it. Okay.
And you know what? That's the integrity of the conversations that we've been having for the last 12 months or longer around this topic. It's all been driven from spirit. And yet we sort of drifted away from it because we didn't want to talk about it. So I think it's time to weave it into the fabric of everything we're doing. Why wouldn't we? So. And how can we not? And how can we not? More fundamentally, how can we not?
Yeah, but I can answer that question too. Why can we not? Because people, no matter how you approach religion, because people associate spirituality with religions, okay, and those who don't, it's still God, and it's still, out there. So you want to get to a whole new ball game when you talk in spirituality that actually makes sense to the average human being, okay? And it's not linked, go to church or, meditate or whatever, okay? And I think that's a challenge for us, okay? And I think we can do it. I think we can do it.
Oh, I know we can do it. Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
can. Well, that's sort of that's a breakthrough for me tonight. That's sort of put a crack in the damn wall for sure.
Okay, that's great. Well, maybe we should stop there and we can go away and think so we don't lose the point.